Have you ever felt that something inside you is screaming to be heard? That persistent whisper telling you that you deserve more, that there's another way to live? Today I'm going to share with you what perhaps no one has ever told you, but what your inner child has been waiting to hear her whole life. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in modern psychology, discovered something revolutionary. Within each of us lives an inner child who longs to be recognized, heard, and above all, chosen. This part of you holds all your purest emotions, your original dreams, and also your deepest wounds. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you truly stopped to listen to that inner voice? Not the voice of duty, not the one shaped by others' expectations, but that authentic voice that emerges from the deepest part of your being. Jung discovered that our unconscious isn't just a storage place for forgotten memories. It's a vital and active part of who we are, constantly sending us messages through dreams, intuitions, and those uncomfortable feelings we get when something in our life isn't aligned with our true essence. The inner child living inside you is trying to guide you toward a more authentic life. But in a world designed to keep you distracted, busy, and disconnected, it's easy to ignore her calls. We ignore her because facing her can be uncomfortable. It means acknowledging parts of ourselves we've repressed, desires we've abandoned, and wounds we've buried. That feeling of emptiness, of something missing in your life despite having it all, isn't random. Jung would call it a manifestation of your soul trying to communicate with you. Your inner child knows exactly what you need to feel whole, but you've learned to silence her, to please others, to fit in, to survive. Think about the important decisions you've made in your life. How many came genuinely from your inner truth? And how many were driven by fear, by others' expectations, or simply by not wanting to disappoint someone? Jung invites us to reflect deeply on this because he understood that every decision not rooted in your inner truth only creates more fragmentation in your psyche. Society has taught you from a young age that you must sacrifice yourself for others, that your needs come after everyone else's, that being good means pleasing others. But Jung had a radically different perspective. He understood that choosing yourself isn't selfishness. It's the most sacred act you can perform. Because only when you're at peace with yourself, when you've honored your inner child, can you offer something truly valuable to the world. When you decide to prioritize your well-being, something transformative happens in your energy field. You begin to attract people and circumstances that align with your true essence. It's as if the universe responds to your decision to live authentically, removing obstacles and bringing what you truly need to flourish. Jung called this synchronicity, that mysterious connection between your inner world and external events. But to get there, you must first dare to face your shadows. Jung spoke extensively about the shadow, those parts of ourselves we repress, deny, or fear. For many women, the shadow includes their power, their anger, their sexuality, their voice. Everything they were taught was too much or inappropriate. Your inner child knows these parts of you and doesn't judge them. She waits patiently for you to reintegrate them. This process of integration doesn't happen overnight. It requires courage, commitment, and an unwavering determination to truly know yourself. But what you gain is invaluable: clarity, purpose, and an inner peace that no one can take away. You gain the ability to say no without guilt and yes without fear. And above all, you gain the freedom to be who you truly are. How do you begin this journey of reconnection with your inner child? Jung offers us a guide. Start by listening to her. Every time you feel an inexplicable discomfort, an intense emotion, or a strong intuition, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what is my inner child trying to tell me right now? One of the hardest things we face is listening to our intuition, especially when it leads us down a path that challenges what we built. Maybe it's a relationship that no longer nourishes you, a job that drains your energy without purpose, or even a dream you've chased only because it seemed right by external standards. Jung reminds us that ignoring these signals isn't strength. It's a form of betrayal to ourselves. Your inner child knows when something no longer serves you, when a situation or person is draining your vital energy. She tells you through physical symptoms, anxiety, discouragement, or that heavy feeling you experience in certain situations. Choosing to listen to your inner child means having the courage to let go of what no longer resonates with you, even if it's been part of your life for years. This is rarely easy. We cling to the familiar out of fear of the unknown. We convince ourselves it's better to stay where we are than to risk change. But Jung challenges us to see change as a portal, not an end. A portal to a more integrated and authentic version of yourself. What relationships, beliefs, or habits are you holding on to out of fear of letting go? What patterns have you repeated over and over, hoping for different results? Your inner child already knows the answers. When you finally decide to honor that essential part of you, something almost magical happens. Though Jung would explain it as the natural result of psychic integration, you begin to see with clarity. The people who truly support you stay, while relationships that drained your energy naturally dissolve. Opportunities that once seemed unattainable start to manifest. This isn't coincidence or magic. It's the external reflection of your inner transformation. Jung called it individuation, the process by which you become a whole being, integrating all the fragmented parts of your psyche. And at the center of this process is your willingness to listen to and honor your inner child. But this path also requires you to be completely honest with yourself. Sometimes, choosing your inner child means admitting you've made choices that don't reflect who you truly are. Maybe you've allowed others to cross your boundaries repeatedly or said yes when your entire being was screaming no. This isn't a reason for self-criticism, but an opportunity to learn, recalibrate, and choose again. Jung believed that authenticity isn't a goal you achieve once and for all. It's a continuous journey, a constant process of self-discovery and growth. On this path, you'll encounter resistance, both internal and external. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when you're tempted to fall back into old patterns simply because they're familiar. But in those moments, remember that true growth happens precisely outside your comfort zone. Before moving forward, I want to share that my book is now available. It's full of tips and techniques to help you overcome emotional blocks and love yourself more. Find the link in the description and pinned comment. Let's continue. The world won't always understand your decision to prioritize your inner child. Some will criticize, question your choices, or even walk away because you no longer fit their expectations. This can hurt deeply, but it's also liberating. Because when you choose to honor your inner child, you stop seeking external validation. You understand that your worth doesn't depend on what others think of you, but on your own unconditional self-acceptance. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself or disconnect from others. On the contrary, Jung strongly believed in the importance of community and relationships, but when you choose yourself, the nature of your connections transforms. You no longer seek approval, but authentic resonance. You no longer settle for superficial or conditional relationships, but naturally attract bonds that nourish your soul. In his work with patients, Jung observed that those who dared to listen to their inner voice and act on it experienced not only an improvement in their psychological symptoms, but a profound transformation in all areas of their lives. Their relationships improved, their work became more fulfilling, and even their physical health showed positive changes, all because they had finally created coherence between their inner and outer worlds. When you start living from this authenticity, your outer world begins to reflect your inner reality. This isn't mysticism, but the deep interconnection between psyche and reality that Jung studied extensively. He explained how our psyche projects outward everything we carry inside. If you live in inner conflict, you'll experience external conflict. If you reject yourself, you'll experience rejection. But when you fully accept yourself, when you honor your inner child with all her complexity, the world around you changes too. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience and ongoing commitment. There will be days when you feel you've regressed, moments when old patterns try to resurface. But this is where true growth lies, in your ability to stay firm in your commitment to your inner child, even when it's hard, even when you feel alone. Jung taught us that change doesn't happen without resistance. But that resistance doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're moving in the right direction. A powerful way to overcome that resistance is to consciously connect with what you truly value. What matters most to you? What kind of life does your inner child long to create? When you have clarity about your core values, it becomes easier to make decisions aligned with them. And by doing so, you naturally attract people and situations that share that same frequency. It's vital to remember that you're not alone on this journey. Though honoring your inner child may feel solitary at first, you're actually building a path that will attract the right people. Those who support you, celebrate your authenticity, and are willing to walk alongside you. These people don't need you to change to fit into their lives. They accept you exactly as you are because they've also chosen to honor their own inner truth. When you reach this point, something inside you shifts irreversibly. Life no longer feels like a constant battle. Decisions that once seemed impossible are now made with clarity and confidence. And most significantly, you find a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Because as Jung taught us, true peace can only emerge from within. That inner peace is the natural result of honoring your deepest needs, respecting your boundaries, and living in alignment with your soul's values. But it's also a gift you can share with the world. When you live from your authenticity, you silently inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon for those seeking their own path. And in this process, you don't just transform your life, you deeply impact those around you. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if you could release everything that doesn't honor your inner child. How would you feel if you let go of relationships that drain your vital energy, commitments that don't resonate with your essence, and expectations that were never truly yours? Visualize the freedom, the lightness, and the clarity you would experience. This isn't an unattainable fantasy. It's a real possibility within your reach if you choose to honor that sacred part of you that has waited so long to be heard. When you make this choice, you realize you're not losing anything by letting go of what doesn't align with your truth. On the contrary, you're creating space for what genuinely matters. You're building a life that doesn't just make sense on the surface, but fills you with deep purpose and authentic joy. This is the gift Jung wanted us all to discover. That true transformation begins when we stop looking outside for what has always been within, patiently waiting to be recognized. When you choose to honor your inner child, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel fully alive. You're no longer trapped in others' expectations or society's demands telling you who you should be. Instead, you start listening to that inner voice that has always been there, whispering that there's something deeper, more meaningful waiting for you if you have the courage to pursue it. That sense of freedom is incomparable. It's as if a heavy weight lifts from your shoulders, allowing you to breathe fully, perhaps for the first time in your adult life. However, reaching this freedom requires genuine courage. It requires facing not only external expectations, but also your own fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs you've internalized. Jung constantly reminded us that the greatest obstacle isn't outside, but within us. It's that critical inner voice asking, what if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if I end up completely alone? But here's the liberating truth. That voice isn't your essence. It's merely the echo of past experiences, of conditioning you've accumulated over your life. Every time you choose to face it, every time you act despite the fear, you're dismantling those limiting beliefs and creating space for something new and authentic. This is the true power of honoring your inner child. It frees you from the invisible chains that have kept you captive. As you move forward on this path, you'll notice something fascinating. Things that once seemed crucial, that consumed your energy and attention, begin to lose their power over you. You no longer feel the compulsion to compete, to prove your worth, or to constantly please others. Instead, you discover a deep satisfaction in simply being yourself. And it's in this state of authenticity that you find your true personal power. This power has nothing to do with dominating others or imposing your will. It's a power that emerges from the connection with your essential self, with that part of you that has always known who you truly are and what you need to thrive. It's a quiet but unshakable power because when you're aligned with your inner child, with your deepest truth, nothing and no one can permanently steer you off your path. The beauty of this process is that it doesn't just transform your individual experience, but also that of those around you. When you honor your inner child, you become a living example of what it means to be authentic. You inspire others to question their own limiting beliefs, to challenge their fears, and to choose their truth. You don't need to preach or convince. Simply by being true to yourself, you're making a significant difference in the world. This is something Carl Jung understood deeply in his work. He knew that individual transformation has a ripple effect, that every time someone chooses to honor their inner truth, they're contributing to a collective evolution. Because when we live from our authenticity, our relationships, communities, and eventually the entire world transform. It's important to recognize that this journey isn't linear. There will be days when you feel connected and confident, and others when you doubt everything. Those moments of doubt are an integral part of the path, and Jung saw them as valuable opportunities to deepen your connection with yourself. Every challenge, every apparent setback, is an invitation to reflect, learn, and grow more deeply. What's crucial is to remember that you're not alone. Though the journey to reconnect with your inner child may feel solitary at first, you'll always find support along the way. Maybe it's through a meaningful book, a transformative conversation, or even a video like this that arrives at the exact moment you need it. These synchronicities aren't accidents. They're signs that you're on the right path. When you look back at everything you've overcome to get to this point, you realize that every step, every decision has led you to this precise moment. And though the future may seem uncertain, there's one unchanging truth. As long as you keep honoring your inner child, you'll be building a life that's genuinely meaningful. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the permission to be fully yourself. Not the version others expect, nor the one you've created to fit in, but your most authentic essence, the one that exists when all the masks fall away. Carl Jung showed us that the true work of life isn't about seeking answers outside, but about unraveling the mystery we carry within. And when you finally dare to listen to your inner child, you discover that everything you've desperately sought has always been with you, patiently waiting to be recognized. This is my call to you today. Life is too short and precious to live it trapped in seeking others' approval, ignoring your deepest needs and authentic dreams. Today is the perfect day to take the first step, to face your shadows with compassion, listen to your intuition, and reconnect with the wisdom of your inner child. Because when you truly honor her, you don't just transform yourself, you contribute to the collective healing our world so desperately needs. And now what? This is the moment to reflect honestly on what you've heard. Ask yourself, what messages from my inner child have I been ignoring? What parts of my current life aren't aligned with my truth? What small step can I take today to start honoring that sacred part of me? Remember that every small act of authenticity counts. Every time you choose to listen to your inner child instead of silencing her, you're healing not just your present, but also your past. And you're not alone on this journey. This space, this channel exists precisely to remind you of your infinite potential and to accompany you every step of the way. If this message has resonated deep within you, let its impact extend beyond you. Share this video with someone who might need it, someone also seeking to reconnect with their essence. Every interaction, every comment, every like helps this message reach more people who need it. Imagine the transformation we could create together, a global community of individuals committed to honoring their inner truth. Leave your honest reflection in the comments. What part of this message touched your heart most deeply? How do you plan to start listening to your inner child from today onward? Every word you share has power, not just for your own process, but for everyone seeking their essential truth. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more messages that nurture your path of self-discovery. Together, we can bring this ancestral wisdom that Jung left us to every person who needs to remember the transformative power of listening to their inner child. Thank you for being here, for your openness, and for being part of this growing community. Remember, you're not alone in this. The change begins within you, and the world urgently needs more people with the courage to honor their essential truth. We'll meet again in the next video, and in the meantime, may every step you take be guided by the wisdom of your inner child, that part of you that has always known who you truly are. The authentic life begins the exact moment you decide to listen, embrace, and honor your inner child. And that moment can be right now if you choose it.